The year is 1914. Europe, a continent brimming with industry, innovation and power, is teetering on the precipice of disaster. The seeds of conflict, sown over decades, have taken root. Nationalism, a potent force, fuels rivalries between nations, each striving for dominance. Empires, vast and sprawling, vie for control of far-flung territories, their ambitions clashing on a global scale. Amidst this powder keg of tension, a complex web of alliances binds nations together in a dangerous game of mutual defense. Like a house of cards, one wrong move, one miscalculation could send the whole structure tumbling down. Military build-ups across Europe create an atmosphere of suspicion and fear. The arms race is on, with each nation seeking to outdo its rivals in military might. The world watches and waits, holding its breath. Few can imagine the horrors that await as the drums of war begin to beat, growing louder with each passing day. The world is on the brink of a catastrophe unlike any seen before. The delicate balance of peace is about to shatter, plunging Europe and soon the world into the abyss of World War I. Sarajevo, Bosnia, June 28, 1914. A seemingly ordinary day explodes into chaos. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie are assassinated by Gavrilo Princip, a young Serbian nationalist. The world is stunned. This act of violence, committed by a lone assassin, will have unintended and far-reaching consequences. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand is the spark that ignites the powder keg of European tensions. Austria-Hungary, outraged and seeking revenge, issues an ultimatum to Serbia, a nation with close ties to Russia. The ultimatum, deliberately designed to be unacceptable, demands Serbian submission to Austro-Hungarian demands. Serbia, fearing for its sovereignty, turns to Russia for support. Russia, bound by its alliance with Serbia, begins to mobilize its massive army. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, views Russian mobilization as a threat and issues its own ultimatums, demanding Russia and France, Russia's ally, demobilize. The machinery of war, set in motion by a single act of violence, grinds inexorably forward. Within weeks, Europe is engulfed in a conflict that will reshape the world. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, a tragedy in its own right, serves as a stark reminder of how quickly seemingly isolated events can spiral into global conflagrations. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand sets off a chain reaction of alliances, dragging one nation after another into the abyss of war. The system of alliances intended to maintain peace through a balance of power instead proves to be a catalyst for conflict. Within a month, Europe is engulfed in a war that few could have predicted. Germany, fearing a two-front war against France and Russia, implements the Schlieffen Plan, a risky military strategy that calls for a swift knockout blow against France before turning its full might against Russia. Germany declares war on Russia on August 1, 1914, and on France 2 days later. Great Britain, bound by its treaty obligations to Belgium, declares war on Germany on August 4 after German troops violate Belgian neutrality by passing through the country to attack France. The Ottoman Empire, seeking to regain lost territory, joins the Central Powers, further expanding the conflict. The world watches in horror as the great powers of Europe, locked in a deadly embrace, march towards a war that promises to be unlike any other. The alliances meant to deter aggression instead serve as a tripwire, dragging Europe into a conflict that will scar the continent for generations to come. Section 4. The Central Powers: Germany, Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. The Central Powers, united by circumstance and ambition, find themselves locked in a struggle for survival against a coalition of powerful enemies. Their alliance is driven by a mix of strategic interests and a shared sense of urgency. Germany, with its formidable industrial might and military prowess, emerges as the leading power of the Central Powers. Its advanced technology and well-trained army make it a formidable adversary on the battlefield. The Kaiser and his generals believe in a swift victory, confident in the strength of their armies. They envision a quick and decisive campaign that will bring their enemies to their knees. Austria-Hungary, the empire that ignited the conflict, is a sprawling, multi-ethnic state grappling with internal divisions. Its diverse population presents both a strength and a challenge, as loyalty to the empire varies widely among its subjects. Its ambitions in the Balkans, fueled by a desire to maintain its crumbling empire, have backfired, plunging the nation into a war that threatens its very existence. The internal strife and external pressures create a volatile situation. The Ottoman Empire, once a mighty power, is now known as the sick man of Europe. Its decline has been long and painful, marked by territorial losses and internal decay. Lured into the conflict by the promise of regaining lost territories, the Ottoman Empire's entry into the war adds a new dimension to an already complex conflict. Their leaders hope that participation in the war will restore some of their former glory. Their strategic location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia poses a significant challenge to the Allied powers. Control of key waterways and territories becomes a critical objective for both sides. The Central Powers, bound together by a common enemy, face a daunting task. Their coordination and cooperation are essential for any hope of success. Their hopes for a swift victory will soon be dashed against the brutal realities of modern warfare. The prolonged conflict will test their resolve and capabilities. The conflict will test their alliances, strain their resources, and ultimately determine their fate. The outcome of this war will reshape the political landscape of Europe and the world for generations to come. Section 5. The Allied Powers: France, Britain, Russia, and more. The Allied Powers, a coalition united by necessity, represent a diverse array of nations, each with its motivations for joining the fight against the Central Powers. This coalition was not just a military alliance, but a union of different cultures, economies, and political systems, all striving towards a common goal. France, still smarting from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870–71, seeks to reclaim lost territory and restore its national pride. The memory of the lost provinces of Alsace and Lorraine fuels the French resolve to fight with unwavering determination. The French army, determined to defend their homeland, will fight with tenacity and courage. Their trenches, though filled with hardship, become symbols of their resilience and steadfastness in the face of adversity. Great Britain, initially hesitant to enter the war, throws its vast resources, its powerful navy, industrial might, and global reach into the conflict. The British naval blockade will play a crucial role in restricting supplies to the Central Powers, showcasing the strategic importance of maritime dominance. The British Empire's colonies across the globe are called upon to contribute manpower and resources to the war effort. From India to Canada, Australia to Africa, the colonies' contributions are vital, reflecting the global nature of the conflict. Russia, driven by its pan-Slavic ideals and its commitment to Serbia, mobilizes its massive army, posing a significant threat to the Central Powers. The sheer size of the Russian military forces creates a formidable eastern front that the Central Powers must contend with. However, Russia's vast size and underdeveloped infrastructure prove to be both an asset and a liability. While the expansive territory provides strategic depth, the logistical challenges of moving troops and supplies across such distances hinder their war efforts. Italy, initially allied with Germany and Austria-Hungary, joins the Allied powers in 1915, enticed by the promise of territorial gains. The Italian front opens up new battlefields, adding to the complexity of the war. Japan, eager to expand its influence in Asia, also joins the Allied side, seizing German colonies in the Pacific. This move not only strengthens the Allied position in the region, but also marks Japan's emergence as a significant military power. The United States, initially neutral, will join the Allied powers in 1917, tipping the balance of power in their favor. American industrial and military might provides a much-needed boost to the weary Allied forces. The Allied powers, despite their diverse backgrounds and sometimes conflicting goals, find common cause in their opposition to the Central Powers. Their unity, though tested by the strains of war, ultimately proves stronger than their differences. Their combined strength, both military and industrial, will prove to be a decisive factor in the outcome of the war. The collaboration and coordination among these nations set a precedent for future international alliances and cooperation. Section 6. Blood and Mud. The Western Front grinds to a halt. The Western Front, a 400-mile scar across the heart of Europe, becomes synonymous with the brutality and futility of World War I. This vast expanse of trenches and barbed wire stretches from the Swiss border to the North Sea, a testament to the scale of the conflict. From the Swiss border to the North Sea, millions of men clash in a deadly struggle for every inch of ground. The battles are relentless, with soldiers enduring unimaginable hardships and facing constant danger. Trench warfare, a new and terrifying form of combat, emerges as the defining feature of the Western Front. Soldiers dig in, creating a labyrinth of trenches that become their homes and their graves. Soldiers on both sides face unimaginable conditions: mud, rats, disease, and the constant threat of artillery bombardment and sniper fire. The trenches are filled with water, turning them into quagmires of mud and filth. Attacks, often launched over open ground, result in staggering casualties for little or no gain. The phrase "going over the top" becomes synonymous with near-suicidal bravery as soldiers charge into no man's land. The Battle of the Somme, a prime example of the war's brutality, claims over 1 million casualties for a mere 6 miles of territory gained. This battle epitomizes the senseless slaughter and the high human cost of the war. New technologies of war, machine guns, poison gas, tanks and airplanes, are unleashed on the battlefield, transforming warfare and adding to the horrors of the conflict. These innovations bring new levels of destruction and suffering. The stalemate on the Western Front drags on for years, a bloody testament to the destructive power of modern warfare. Neither side can gain a decisive advantage, leading to a prolonged and grueling conflict. The names of battles Verdun, Ypres, Passchendaele become etched in memory, synonymous with unimaginable sacrifice and suffering. These battles are remembered for their sheer scale and the immense loss of life. The Western Front, a muddy graveyard for millions, serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of war. The endless rows of graves and the haunting silence of the battlefield stand as a somber testament to the sacrifices made.